Sag a little bit, and you seem multifaceted.
If it doesn't have 4 legs, I don't know about it.
Okay. We're at Northview Stallion Station, Maryland, with broodmare manager Doris Hogarth. Doris, thank you for the warm welcome.
You're welcome.
Nice to share a cup of coffee with you.
Thanks for bringing it.
Thank you for the fireside chat. Okay, so here we are. It's mid-January, right? The breeding season looms like a great big promise. How are you spending your days?
Getting rested up.
For?
The next 5 months of 80 hours a week, reality.
Doris, there's a phenomenon known beneficial to the human condition. It's called sleep. Apparently you won't be having much over the next 5 months, so during this hectic time, just give us a brief synopsis of what sorts of things you're going to be doing.
The farm is set up to receive mares in foal or open, and we follow them through their cycles. We deliver the foals, and then we get them back in foal, and then they go home unless they're year-rounders here. And so my day consists of record keeping, eyes on the horses. I lead and feed every day, we all muck stalls together. The day-to-day, anything a new foal might need, because once the new foals start hitting the ground, it's more intensive.
So the mares that come in, because you have repeat mares who come in perhaps annually to be bred to a Northview Stallion. What kinds of associations do you make with these mares? I mean, you get to know them. They're here for periods of time,
yes, right? Yes. And there are ones I'll hear on their way and I'll roll my eyes. And there are ones I'll hear that are on their way and I'll be really happy. And yeah, they're like old friends. You kind of get like one in particular is really hard to catch, and there's going to be lots of times out in the mud and the rain you're trying to catch her and she doesn't want you to catch her. But most of them, and then once they get into a routine and once they realize that we're just catching them, usually when we're catching them it's for vet work and they're like, oh no thank you, I'll skip that today.
They're wise that way.
Mm-hmm. We try to, when they arrive, we assess their temperament and their needs, and we group them with like mares, so they're in a group with like horses so they don't get bullied or stuff like that.
But I'm wondering how a highly skilled professional like yourself can ascertain when a mare is getting ready to foal. What are you looking for?
Basically, people would say colic-like symptoms, walking the stall, breaking out into a sweat, nervous, pawing, up and down, and that sort of thing.
So they tell you?
Yes, and then the night watchman or the second shift or whoever is watching the mare will actually see the water break, and at that point, wherever I am, I come, if I'm in bed or if I'm, happen to be across the street or I'm here, and then I check the presentation of the foal manually, and if I don't feel anything out of the ordinary, we just let her go on and we assist her, and knock on wood, everything goes okay. If I feel something out of place, I will get the vet on the phone and they will be rolling while I am trying to correct the out of place. And usually, I would say 50% of the time I have everything worked out. I, meaning me and the rest of the staff, we can manipulate the leg or the head or whatever is out of place and deliver the foal. Our vet's really close and very attentive, so if not, he's here and he takes over at that point and we just lend assistance, and then the foal is born.
Okay, but assuming everything's going well, you're basically doing the delivery and you call the vet only in some sort of basic emergency situation.
That in itself is the talent, because you need to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Right, I imagine.
You don't want to be a hero on somebody else's dime for sure. I mean, they're counting on me to do the right thing, and they'd rather have a vet bill than no mare foal. If a mare is impending foal, like we can tell she's gonna foal within the next 12 hours. Like we have a hot eye on her. Like nobody goes to lunch. Not everyone goes to lunch at the same time. We stagger our lunches. We never take our eyes off of a mare that's gonna have a foal in 12 hours, and even any further out than that. But in the case, so I will put that mare in a paddock by herself and right off the barn, and so she's easily seen, and if she does go to foal, we don't have to disrupt her by gathering her out of the field with the other horses. The other horses would become curious, and then they'd make her nervous by being curious, and so it's better if she's separate, and then it's better for them to foal in a nice sunny outside, if and it's a grassy paddock. It's easier for the foal to get on its feet than a stall. The hours after birth are really critical. Like the people that own these horses have a year invested, and the stud fee, the foal stood and nursed. The last thing you want to happen ever is anything to that foal from the time it's born. Ever. You want it to be wrapped in bubble wrap. That's their investment, and it's a new life, and it's a thoroughbred. It could be the next California Crim. You don't know. Everybody has that dream, and so it's critical you have the right people in place. Like after the foal's out, stands and nurses, it's not going to bedtime. It's time to still make sure that nothing crashes and nothing burns and everything is safe.
Well, that's interesting, because we who aren't so initiated in this process would think, once you've got a good, healthy delivery, you're on easy street. But in fact, it's still dicey for a period thereafter.
Yeah. It's amazing to me when they're first-time moms, every single time, that they know what to do and they do it. It's amazing. That's one thing in the industry, in this line of work, that blows my mind every time. Like, I'm like, wow, humans don't even know. So when everything goes right and they're wired right and it's just a beautiful thing.
Isn't nature wonderful?
That's what you keep hoping every single time. So I will keep a new mom, a young mare, separate for a few days and let her bond with her foal and get used to how the foal's going to run around her and stretch his legs and sleep in the sun. And then when she's comfortable with all that, I'll introduce her with her former friend before she had her foal, if they've had their foal, and then the two together in a bigger field, and then gradually. It's very good. Never just throw them out indiscriminately.
So there's both a science and an art to it, it seems, too, right? So it just seems like in the height of the season, you've got all of these issues to consider and so many variables. Do you keep files or notes about specific mares, or do you just kind of remember?
I keep notes to the nth degree. Everything is, I write it down or I forget it. I never forget what I'm doing. Obviously, I forget ages and who they're getting bred to, and so I have all that in front of me when I'm working with the vet, and any of the history of the reproductive history or anything I need I have a sheet for each mare with her complete history that we know of and that we've been given by her owners, and I have a good working relationship with our clients, and on the phone all the time with them and sending them pictures of their babies and funny things their babies did that day, and that means a lot to the owners, because if they're it's a passion for them and they're not here to see it, and so they really appreciate that. That's something that I take time every day when I have foals on the ground to share the pictures of the foal trying to eat the grass with his legs spread out, or him sleeping in the sun, or the mare putting hay over his head, or any funny little thing like that can make the owner feel a part of the new life. And some don't have the opportunity to come visit because they're working to pay for their hobby or their horse. And you can walk out and just look over the field and see the foal laying in a different way than you've ever seen a foal, and you're like, I gotta get a picture, and you're sneaking up on them and you gotta take the picture, and they jump up and you're like, oh man, darn it, I wish I had a zoom lens.
So do you make projections based on the personality traits you see out in the field as to which horses might make better horses, more competitive?
Yes, that's a source of daily conversation between employees. So and so is so aggressive for the food. All we have to do is put the feed tub at the finish line and she'll win every time. And this one's so lazy you couldn't make her trot if she had to, and that kind of thing.
What do you think you might have done if you hadn't taken on this crazy vocation of yours?
Fortunately, I don't have to think about that to this point in my life. When I was really young, I guess I was 7. I had a pony, and I loved my pony, and I rode all the time. And I grew up in horse country, and it was fantastic. It was a great place to grow up. And my uncle came to visit, and he said, girl, you love that pony. You should do what you love and just be a horse person. Just work with horses. And you will never have to work a day in your life. Well, he lied. I work. But I'm a horse person, and I wouldn't trade it. I don't ever second guess it. Maybe in May for a few minutes every year. It does get in your blood. I don't know what else gets in your blood like horses. It's a blessing and a curse.
But all you can do is make each life as healthy and as vital and as productive as possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I was a trainer, that was my thought too. All I can do is try to bring out the best of what this horse has to offer. You can't try to bring more than its best, and they're paying you for the best, not 80% of the best, but 100% of the best.
It just seems so complex and unwieldy, but
yeah, now that you mention it, I probably should ask for a raise, right?
I think so. Absolutely.